name is Charles Eris. I've been working in a humanitarian setup since 2012 to date, and I have developed interest on climate change and how to mitigate its impact to save lives. DFCC channel is all about news, conversations, happenings, and all you need to know about drought, famine, and climate change. Today we are here at Petro City Restaurant and Lodge, Kanam Kemerlodwa. You can take a direct route opposite and west of Pacific Gas Station for a sumptuous meal and delicious meals plus cold drinks. We're having a conversation on our health survival in relation to climate change and environment with Mr. Clement Nadio. Clement Nadio, welcome.
Thank you so much. Good to see you and karibu to Petro City.
Asante. No, it's a nice place and
you're most welcome.
Thank you so much, Clement. We need to understand that we are here because we want to have a conversation and we want to introduce a scenario where most people talk and have a conversation about climate change. And first of all, we are glad that you've accepted to have a conversation with us. We need to understand that Clement Nadio has been working with Turkana County government as a director of environment and climate change since 2015. He has a master's degree in environmental science and a master's in public health. EIA expert, lead expert registered by NEMA. And we understand that he has really done a lot in the Department of Environment and also taking lead in the climate change department up to date. So thank you so much, Clement Nadio. And we will have a conversation here. I hope you are comfortable so that we continue together.
I'm comfortable.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So this will be purely a conversation, and probably you can introduce yourself. I know I have made a little bit of introduction, but maybe you can expand on that.
Okay, thank you so much. Karibu Charles Eris. Welcome to Petro City, and thank you for inviting me for this discussion on climate change and environment. So I'm called Clement Nadio, professional from Turkana County. I've been serving as the county director for environment and climate change for quite some years, almost 7-8 years. So I have passion on matters to do with the environment and climate change and natural resources management in Turkana County, in Kenya, and the global perspective. Thank you so much.
Yes, maybe we can start from our first discussion, and it is all about climate change. We understand that people are talking about climate change, and I know there are people who really don't understand what is it and what is it entailing about. And probably you can take some few seconds to explain what is climate change and whether Turkana is one among those counties that experience the change in climate.
Okay, thank you so much. Indeed, Turkana County is already experiencing the effect of climate change. People do talk about climate change, and according to the definition, climate change is prolonged change in weather patterns and even temperature over 20-30 years. And what is the cause of climate change? Climate change is purely caused as a result of emissions of greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases emission, which include carbon dioxide, which include methane, which include sulfur oxide to the atmosphere. Once these gases are emitted through various initiatives, which could be human activities, anthropogenic activity, which could be as a result of urbanizations, change in land use, industrialization, factories. These are activities which emits greenhouse gases. And in Turkana County, for example, oil and gas exploration, production, there is venting and fuming of gases, and these are purely CH4, methane, and also carbon dioxide, which are being emitted to the atmosphere. When it goes up, it forms an envelope, and these are the gases which attract heat, sun rays, and as a result, it leads to the global warming. So basically in Kenya is very little greenhouse gases. We're the least contributors of greenhouse gases. Most of the countries which are generating a lot of greenhouse gases are actually China, India, America, Germany, Russia. Almost a half of the global emissions comes from those countries.
So
Kenya, our contribution is 0.13%. Of the total global greenhouse gases emissions. So it's minimal emission, but as we keep on growing and coming up with initiative or activities, which depends on fossil fuels, it means we're going to increase our emissions
Yes.
also. And specifically Kenya being a country which is rich in oil and gas, fossil fuels, and specifically in Turkana County, we've discovered oil and gas. So these are projects that are going to probably increase our emissions to the atmosphere.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we continue on that and probably adding what are more drivers on that, kindly do not forget to like, share, subscribe to this YouTube channel, DFCC News, for subsequent posts on climate change. So can we probably add some more drivers of climate change in terms of Turkana, the perspective of Turkana County?
In Turkana County, I've mentioned about oil and gas activity in South Lokichar Basin. That is, we are producing fossil fuels, and there are actually this venting and fuming of gases. There was some flaring of gases. I think we saw when they were doing exploration, there was some burning of gases. That is flaring. And again, our main socio-economic activity being livestock production. In Turkana County, the main socio-economic activity is livestock production, livestock keeping, and livestock generate methane.
Oh.
So these are greenhouse gases emissions. We are also utilizing the charcoal, the firewood. There's a lot of waste burning which is being practiced around. There's also burning of tires, burning of waste, burning of plastics. These are activities which emits greenhouse gases. And as I indicated, greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, methane, there's sulfur oxide, there is also NO2, nitrogen oxide. So these are initiatives that we are contributing locally as Kenya, but the point is they are very negligible as compared to the developed countries.
Yes. Yeah. We are also contributing to climate change and pollution.
Yes, we are contributing to climate change, and it's all about generating these greenhouse gases. When they go up, they form something like a blanket to the atmosphere, the Earth's surface. When it forms, these gases, greenhouse gases, attracts heat, and if it attracts, it leads to warming, increase in temperature. And if the temperature now increase, we are going to have the effect around. For example, if they shift in temperature around Turkana County, and from the data that is already in place, it's being indicated that from 1967 to date, the temperature in Turkana County has risen by 2 to 3%. So it means once the temperature goes up, so it's going to have various negative impact to our environment, to our ecosystem, to our main socio-economic activity, which is livestock production, to agriculture, to our vegetation cover in Turkana County. And that's what the aspect of now creating resilience. How are we going to cope to these climate change which is already there? How are we going to adapt, and what are we going to do to mitigate to this effect of climate change?
Yeah. Do you think this has already gone to people and everyone knows about it?
I think the county government of Turkana, Ministry of Tourism, Culture, Environment, Natural Resources, and Climate Change have tried to engage the community, to engage various stakeholders, political leaders, and partners in this county. And that is what even informed the development of Turkana County Climate Change Policy, Turkana County Climate Change Act 2021, and Turkana County Climate Change Fund Regulation 2021, and including even the Climate Change Action Plan which were developed. So according to me, there are some elements of engagement community, but the point is, it's not possible to reach the 1 million Turkanas.
Yes.
So a lot of effort needs to be done so that more adequate sensitization, education is done through the committees that have been established. I'm aware, and I tried my best. We established some World Climate Change Committees. So this World Committee will actually disseminate and cascade this information to the lower level. to many people at the village unit, so that they can actually understand matters to do with climate change, adaptation, resilience, and what they need to do to mitigate the effects of climate change.
Thank you. I understand that you are an environmental expert, and I understand that also climate change has impact to the environment. What are some of the signs, or what are some of the indicators of climate change to our environment, especially here in Turkana?
In Turkana County, we've noted noted quite a number of evidence of climate change. One is in food security as a result of drought. We've been having almost drought for the last 4 or 5 years. We've not experienced any rain. And as a result of drought, it has impacted negatively to agriculture sector. One, there has been food insecurity, and that's why there's been relief, social protection to our people, distributing food, relief food to our people, just to trying to save life. That is an effect of climate change to Turkana County. And then livestock sector, livestock being the main socio-economic activity in this county. The livestock sector has also been impacted. We've had cases of livestock death, mortality, morbidity of livestock in this Turkana County. And recently there were some statistics that were said. We've lost over 300,000 livestock since the onset of drought.
That's a big number.
You see? And this is the main socio-economic activity. This is what provides food to our people, proteins to our children, and enhances livelihood in Turkana County. If we are not feeding our livestock, if there's no vegetation for our livestock, it means even breeding, livestock productivity goes down. Livestock are not breeding. On water sectors, we've been having issues to do with water scarcity, drying of the bores, drying of the bores, drying of the water pans, drying of rock catchment, and increased wear and tear. Increased wear and tear of water infrastructure. Because of what? Because of increase in traffic, and many people are trying to access water. Because of wash issues, because of domestic use. So frequent use of these water pumps also leads to breakages, you see? And it impacts now on the budget for that department of water. Maybe they don't have an adequate budget, but because of drought, so there's increase in maintenance and operational maintenance. Water pumps are supposed to be recharged by rains. You see? If it hasn't rained for 2-3 years, it means those water pumps are not going to receive any new water. And if there's no recharge, it means even the salinity in that water, in the water pan, increases. And if salinity increases now, it also becomes the water quality gets interfered. So the reason why we've had cases of even our bowl not producing water, it's a result of we are not recharging. This drought interfered with recharge, because it's these seasonal rivers, when it flows, the water needs to percolate underground, and then it recharges the underground water aquifer. If the bore was, for example, 50 meters, and the water table goes up to 50 meters, it means if it's not recharged for 2-3 years, the water table will be very low. And the bore that was 50 meters, it means you will pump, but there's no water which is coming. So water scarcity, water issues in Turkana County. And again, we've even realized as a result of this climate change, drought and famine, lack of rainfall, even these drought-tolerant tree species, like Prosopis judiflora, has also increased.
Yes, sure. You've seen
it has
the
actually
coverage has gone high.
suppressed, because these are drought-tolerant species. It has actually increased. And it has actually affected the natural regeneration of the indigenous trees, which provides forage to our county. You see, to our livestock, to our camels, to our goats.
So
these
are evidence. Also affects the growth of other species.
It has already affected, and that's why we are having the number of prosopis has actually increased, because they are drought tolerant. They thrive very well during drought. In arid conditions. You see, So the other evidence of climate change in this county, we've had flash floods.
Sure.
Flash floods, for example, there's rising water level in Lake Turkana, which has actually displaced quite a number of infrastructure
along the lake.
The hotels which are along Lake Turkana. Yeah? So these are evidence of climate change, rising water in the lake. And then the other issues, we've had seasonal rivers where it floods. It washes the vehicles, it carries the people, it breaks the bank in Soweto, breaking of the river bank, and then the water now comes to the village. You see, Soweto people are displaced. And these are effects of climate change. It's evident in Turkana County. For example, in Turkana North, last year, end of last year, there was sudden downpour, heavy downpour, which led to change in temperature. And you know, our goats were already emaciated. They didn't have the adipose tissue, fats in the body. So they don't have fats. Fats in the body insulate the body against the cold, you see? And these goats were already emaciated. They didn't have the fats in the body. And there was sudden change in temperatures from the normal 32 degrees to 16 degrees. So we ended up losing quite a number of livestock as a result of what? Extreme cold. Sudden shift in temperature from the usual warm to very cold. So these are evidence of climate change in Turkana County, and there are so many, including even people changing their lifestyle, their socioeconomic activity from livestock productivity to charcoal burning. For example, when you go to Turkana South, Kalemo
along
Rock,
the road,
Kalemo Rock, Katilu, Kakongo, you'll find almost so many bags of nini charcoals. And it's what people are trying to cope
with the
and to come up with alternative livelihood for survival. As a result of, it's just climate change.
So can we also say that charcoal burning also contributes to climate change?
Yes. Why? Because one of the mitigating factor for climate change is tree planting, reforestation. Because reforestation, trees absorbs carbon dioxide. The usual process of photosynthesis. Trees absorbs carbon dioxide, and then the presence of light, they produce food. And then in that process, trees also releases oxygen, which we breathe now. You see? So if we are cutting now trees, which are supposed to absorb now carbon dioxide, the greenhouse gases, you see?
If we are cutting them,
so
then
if
we are contributing
we are cutting. We need to have trees in place so that they can absorb what? Carbon dioxide. We don't release whatever we are releasing, because we release carbon dioxide through breathing.
Oh yes.
Even breathing. When the livestock chews the cud, it releases methane gas. You see, these are greenhouse gases. They're supposed to be when we release, at least trees absorbs the carbon dioxide. So charcoal burning also contributes
to climate change. Yes, there is a discussion that is going on that Turkanas are also contributing to climate change in a big way. That when Turkana kraals are moving from one area to the other, they need to cut trees for a new settlement. How much is this activity affecting climate change?
Okay, the point is, it's true, you're right. You know, pastoralism first, pastoralism way of life is a climate change adaptation.
Oh, yes.
Turkana's moving from one place to another.
Is already adapting to.
That is adaptation, because you cannot stay in one place.
Yes, when things are heating.
Which doesn't have pasture for livestock. There's no water. Why should you stay there with your livestock? You need to move to a greener pasture. You need to move to a place where there is water. So Turkana being pastoralism, that is a climate change adaptation initiative. But now, when they move from one place to another, when they go there, they have to cut tree
and resettle.
Now. Prepare the sheds for their livestock, utilize the trees for fuel wood and many other socioeconomic activity. So, and again, as far as this is adaptation to climate change, that movement, migration from one place to another, there is also a carbon footprint. So there is a carbon negative carbon footprints, because they're cutting tree for their socio-economic activity.
Because kraals move in numbers. Like
Yeah,
for
it
example,
moves
one
in
kraal
number.
can be how many households, and each household needs to cut trees for the house, for the animal yards and all that. So okay, we need to understand that, so that we also see alternatives when people are resettling. Can we provide them with tents, you know, so that we don't encourage them to cut trees everywhere they go, or that one is already a pathway to ensure what are some of the things we need to do to support Turkana people when they are resettling.
And you know, the best thing is in
Yes.
the Turkana County Climate Change Policy and Turkana County Climate Change Act, it has a policy statement on migration pastoralism,
Okay.
in which it has some policy statement creating awareness to the pastoralists who are migrating from one place to another, and also trying to encourage them to live before they migrate to another place, to ensure that they have planted trees.
Oh, okay.
You see, and again, even the policy, the Turkana County Climate Change policy, encourages the pastoralists not to cut the whole tree, but instead to prune and get the branches instead of cutting the whole tree. Those are some of the policy statements,
and
which
it will support in mitigating.
it will support in mitigating,
yes, mitigating.
now the effect of
Now
climate change.
let's go to mitigation. How are we mitigating the impacts of climate change in Turkana?
Maybe just before we go to mitigation,
Yes.
mitigation, there are quite a number of initiatives that the county we are trying to do.
Yes.
The county has tried to do, and there are some activities that, as an expert, I can also advise needs to be done. Because we're having some climate-sensitive sectors in the county. The most climate-sensitive sectors in Turkana County is actually water, agriculture, livestock, fishery, environment, natural resources, wildlife, even trade is also a climate-sensitive sector. So specifically in water, for us to adapt to this climate change, I think quite a number of initiatives needs to be enhanced, and one of it is drilling of more boreholes, or even having quite a number of water drilling rigs, so that we can actually increase the number of boreholes around the county. That one we will enhance water security. Secondly is water harvesting infrastructure. Water harvesting infrastructure, for example, water pans needs to be put in place. Subsurface water dams needs to be in place. Sand dam, it's very important to have sand dams.
Yes.
Rock catchment needs to be put in place, and even a mega dam. Having mega dam is very critical, because it will enhance mega dam for multi-purpose use.
Yes.
That is the most critical part. And then water tracking during drought. Water tracking. There are some areas which have saline water. For example, along Lake Turkana.
Yes.
And all those boreholes drilled along Lake Turkana, they are saline because they're being recharged by Lake Turkana. And Lake Turkana doesn't have an outlet.
Yes, the salty.
It's a salty. So it is the one which is recharging. So desalination is very critical to ensure that people are adapting or coping to this climate change. You see? So, and again, mobile water point needs to be established. Water tracking where there is saline water. Probably water tracking needs to be enhanced, so that people can get water. You see? Agriculture, specifically crop production. Kitchen garden, promotion of kitchen garden, even hydroponics. Climate smart agriculture is very critical. Climate smart agriculture. Flood-based agriculture needs to be considered. These are initiatives that will make our people food resilient, food secure. And then, in fact, even provision of subsidies and farm input to our farmers is very critical. Crop insurance needs to be done.
Yes.
Farmers needs to be encouraged to insure their farmlands.
Yes.
Not necessarily the county government to do it.
Yes.
But
even at the
farmers,
individual level.
At individual level, you can take initiative, so that when armyworms invades your farm, or when there's drought,
you're able to get
compensation. And then prevention of floods. You see, along the riverbanks.
Yes.
Because occasionally when it floods, in case of flooding along the river, in the rivers, it usually breaks the banks and then destroys the crops which are in the farm. So protection, riverbank protection needs to be enhanced so that we avoid damages, crop damages in the chambers.
Yes.
Only maturing crops needs to be prioritized.
Prioritized. Yes.
And then on livestock production, I think we need to avoid this in breeding. By establishing quite a number of breeding centers. That is the most critical part.
Yes.
So we need to have breeding centers so that we can bring gala goats, so that we can have high quality breeds in Turkana County, so that even when we sell, we'll fetch more money.
We understand that people are losing a lot of livestock when drought comes.
Yes.
I think there is also need to ensure that
livestock insurance is very
Mhm.
critical. So our people needs to insure our livestock so that when drought comes, when diseases comes, they can be compensated.
Okay.
We need to do grass reseeding, fodder production. For example, we're having so many prosopis here. We can get the prosopis pods, dilute, because prosopis pods have a high content of starch.
Okay.
It usually destroys the teeth of
Yeah,
livestock.
we've
But
seen
now
that.
we can dilute with other fodder and then feed on our livestock. It's going to help us in controlling prosopis, but as well as providing food for our livestock.
Yes.
So the other issue is supplementary feed.
Yes.
We need to have ready supplementary feed during drought, and we need also to promote the offtake of livestock. When there is drought, we encourage our people now to
at least sell to reduce the numbers that will be affected.
Sell, or even the county government can buy, and then now under social protection now relief food, it also distributed the meat to our people. You see, so those are some of intervention. But the next one is actually vaccination needs to be done, prompt vaccination of livestock, and vaccinations against diseases. And routine examination, routine checkup of livestock to ensure they're healthy. You see, I think under livestock those are critical adaptation initiatives. So still under agriculture, practicing of agroforestry needs to be enhanced.
Yes.
Those are some of the interventions that can enhance adaptation in Turkana County, because the main socioeconomic activity is livestock production, and then quite a sizable number of people in this county are practicing agropastoralism, and then the rest are doing fishery as well as trading. So when we come now to mitigation,
Yes.
because we can even do something under mitigation. So what needs to be done is we need to do serious tree planting.
Serious tree planting.
Massive tree planting, because the tree cover in this county, initially it was actually, up to last year, it was being said it was 4.06%, which is below the national recommendation of 10%.
Yes.
But the recent data from Kenya Forest Service, after the recent aerial survey,
Yes.
it's indicated that we are doing at 9-point-something%.
That's a good progress, eh?
9-point-something%. But there are quite a number of question mark,
Whether
because
that data is true.
this tree cover is contributed by Kwanza prosopis uniflora.
Prosopis. Yes.
We've said these are drought-tolerant species.
Yes.
They thrive so well when there is drought, and they are suppressing other indigenous trees. You see, so probably it could be the main contributor
To the percentage.
These are very
is
fast growing. Yes, forest cover in Turkana County. So serious tree planting needs to be done, because trees absorbs the greenhouse gases.
Yes.
Specifically, they utilize carbon dioxide in the process of photosynthesis. Secondly, we need to promote energy conservation initiative. For example,
yes.
cook stove. Instead of using the GCOS,
Yes.
it's good we use the energy saving cook stove. Because if we are using improved GCO, we're going to utilize very little charcoal to cook lunch, dinner, and even boil some water to drink, and we're going to save on the vegetation cover in Turkana County.
That is true.
So the next one is promoting renewable energy.
Yes.
Turkana County is rich in solar, and even wind. So investing and promoting investors is to invest in solar, solarization of balls, Instead of using the generators,
Oh,
we
yes.
solarize
The balls, yes.
and then install solar PV system in schools, street lights, and even we encourage our people in the community. Our people in the community in Turkana needs to utilize the solar because we have a lot of solar, and then we also need to focus on wind and even hydroelectric power instead of using the diesel, the kerosene. Because these are things that generate greenhouse gases, which leads to climate change. Greenbelt, conservation, agriculture is very important.
Yes.
And then the most important is now educating our people not to cut tree. Yeah, we don't need to cut tree in this county because our tree cover is these are
It's already low.
Is a semi-arid area, and our tree cover is so low. You see, there's no need of cutting tree. In fact, we need to plant more.
Yes.
And then we need to get alternative cooking methods, preferably solars, preferably get even improved jikos, cook stove. We are having jikokoas. It's better you invest in jikokoa, or even e-cooking, or even gas. You can use LPGs. LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. So if we enhance that, we are going to reduce our emissions as Turkana County.
Yes.
You see? And we're going to
contribute also
to mitigation of climate change. Although as Kenya, we're just contributing 0.13% of greenhouse gases globally. So it's very negligible. But we need to make some efforts to reduce or prevent greenhouse gases emission completely in Turkana County.
Thank you so much, Nadio. Kindly, if you're still following us, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Also, don't forget to comment so that we check what are your contribution to this conversation, and also to learn what you know about climate change. So there's this discussion about whether climate change and changing weather affects everyone equally. Does it affect everyone equally in a community, or climate change affects some people more compared to the rest?
So climate change, it doesn't, according to me. Anyway, climate change is affecting all of us. It's affecting all of us. But the point is, there are some vulnerable groups which are highly affected. The level at which climate change affects people is actually different. For example, if somebody is PWD, you are blind.
Yes.
You cannot walk. You cannot walk. When there's flood, it means you're not going to run.
Oh yeah, sure.
Every person will evacuate, will run.
But you will be affected.
The water will find you here. You'll just drown. You see, those are PWD. You see, for example, women in this county. Women are the backbone. They are the main people, the most important people in this county, in the Turkana community. They're the one who prepares meals, and they need water. If the bowl has drought, if the water pan doesn't have water,
they need to walk.
It is women who go to fetch water from the water pans, from the bowls. If the nearby bowl dried, it means what? They will have to move
maybe 15
kilometers, 15 kilometers or 5 kilometers to look for water. So it means climate change doesn't
affect everyone
equally. There are some vulnerable. For example, children, they cannot run. They cannot make prompt decision on which measure to take to adapt. So it varies, you see? And that's why inclusion of these special vulnerable groups in decision making is very critical, you see? So the involvement and prioritization of the vulnerable groups, which is women, which is people living with disability, and even children, and even elderly, you see?
Yes.
Elderly and very young. These are the most vulnerable groups in this era of climate change.
Combating climate change needs resources. Are we putting enough funds to support the mitigation process in terms of combating climate change?
You know, first, the governor for Turkana County, Jeremiah Napotkan, is really committed and is serious on matters to do with climate change.
Climate change, yes.
Together with Waziri Iris Mariao and the chief officer, specifically the entire Ministry of Tourism, Culture, Environment, Climate Change, Natural Resources. One is the commitment to implement the Turkana County Climate Change Policy,
Yes.
Climate Change Act, and the Climate Change Fund Regulation.
Yes.
The reason why I'm saying the governor is really committed, he even allocated resources. He has already even formed the Turkana County Climate Change Steering Committee.
Already? Oh, that's good.
He has already established a Turkana County Climate Change Fund Board. And the county has already appointed even the county climate change committees and the ward climate change committees. You see, this is
so it's like the entire structure
this
now
is commitment now from
yeah.
the county government. It means it's a government that is serious on matters to do with climate change. The next thing is the policies. This implementation of these policies. The county government has really tried to implement the Turkana County Climate Change Policy.
Yes.
And even the acts. And responding to your question now on resources.
On resources. That are we really putting enough resources?
The county government and the county assembly has allocated quite a number of resources to climate change.
Okay.
For example, in Turkana County Climate Change Fund regulation and Turkana County Climate Change Act, it says that the county needs to commit 2% of its resources towards climate change.
Towards climate change.
And Turkana County has even surpassed that. It has allocated more than 2% towards
so
climate change.
That is an indication of commitment.
So it means climate finance is very critical. And this county government is really serious on climate finance. And so that more climate change adaptation initiatives, programs can be implemented to ensure that our people are resilient to climate shocks in this country.
Finally, can we say combating climate change comes to political will, government political will? Because we've seen there was a meeting recently in Africa about climate change, and countries were talking about if developed countries are committed to support the third world countries to ensure that they are getting funds, they are compensated because of the climate change. Now, does it mean that it comes down to political will from the government and from within? Because now if we've talked and said that the government here is committed and has put resources to combat climate change or support the combating climate change. Now, does that come down to political will of governments?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I agree with you. You know, first nationally, President Dr. William Ruto made a statement and he said we need to plant 15 billion trees during this first term. His first term, you see. So that is a commitment, and trees is what mitigates climate change because it absorbs greenhouse gases. And again, the national government is also committed in implementing the FLOCA. FLOCA is financing local-led climate action.
Oh, that's a World Bank.
Yes,
World Bank.
Funded by World Bank, SIDA, and DANIDA, channeled through the Ministry of National Treasury and also Directorate of Climate Change at national level. So some resources are being channeled to the counties.
It funds all the counties?
Yes, it funds the counties which have met the minimum access condition. It's a performance for resulting program. So there are some political aspects there, you see. But again, in this county, governor committing to support climate change, that is a good commitment.
A political will.
Yes. And then the other issue is the county assembly legislating and passing laws. For example, we have Turkana County Climate Change Policy, Turkana County Climate Change Act 2021, Turkana County Climate Change Fund Regulation, and Turkana County Climate Change Action
That
Plan.
is already a commitment.
You see? That is a goodwill from the county assembly. The county assembly passed this legislation, which were forwarded by the county executive. So to me, and even the county assembly, even in these policies, it has committed 2% of the county budget towards climate interventions.
Yes.
You see,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the county assembly which appropriates resources.
Yes, yes.
And they have been appropriating resources as provided in the Turkana County Climate Change Act and Turkana County Climate Change Fund Regulation. So to me, it requires, climate change requires goodwill. And again, even politician, when it comes to tree cutting, cutting of trees, as far as the government can enforce, even sensitization through the respective ward
Yes.
MCA, you see? MCA, because these are local leaders. Once they understand that cutting trees is not good, it causes the desertification. It is trees which provide pasture for our livestock, and livestock productivity is the main socio-economic activity.
Yes.
MCAs sensitizing the community is also very critical because he's a leader, he's representing the entire ward. So goodwill from the political aspect, according to me, it also helps in addressing climate issues in the county and even creating resilience and adaptation.
Yes, sure. Sure, thank you. Recently, I saw from somewhere you have a consultancy firm on environment. I don't know, maybe, I don't understand issues of environment so much, but it's a consultancy firm. Can you tell us something about it? Probably we have people who really need to be supported or to be assisted.
Yeah, I've been pushing for a firm,
yes,
for a company on matters to do with climate change, environment, natural resources, energy. Because very few people within Turkana County have ventured into such kind of engagement. And basically there's Climate Change Solution Limited. Climate change supports works with the local graduates. Turkana youth who have just graduated from campus, from university, it's actually supporting them to engage in environmental activities, in environmental programs, and as a result they also get something.
yes.
You see? And it's also trying to nurture them so that they can venture into environmental business, so that they can get opportunities. And one of the opportunities, even opening their own farms, environmental farms, getting registered by NEMA as associate expert or
Yes.
even lead expert, or even open a farm of experts, and even support the county in conducting environmental impact assessment, ESIA, and even environmental audit, and even practice pest management and fumigation
Yes.
within the household, you see. So basically the farm intends to build the capacity of local youth within Turkana County so that they can get a livelihood out of
Yes.
it.
What is it called and where is it located?
It's called the Climate Change Solution, located just opposite Pacific petrol station. You move in 100 meters, and then the office is based there.
Okay.
So there'll be another sub-office in Kakuma.
In Kakuma. Yeah, I saw it and I felt it's good that we talk about it.
Yeah.
Now we've talked quite much about climate change, environment, and how can we mitigate all those. Now, what could be your concluding words for this interview today?
My conclusion is I really urge the people of Turkana County,
Talk to them.
the people of Turkana County, to plant more trees. Don't encourage cutting of trees. Let's reach out to our family members, to our friends, and to our relatives, and discourage them from cutting, destroying our environment. Don't cut tree. Plant as many trees as you can. We need to improve our tree cover in Turkana County. And then the second one is implementation of the Turkana County Climate Change Policy, Climate Change Act, and Climate Change Fund Regulation. These legislation and the frameworks will actually propel Turkana County upward. Already, presence of these legal frameworks shows that Turkana County is really committed on matters to do with climate change. So the resident of Turkana County needs to support the government in implementing climate actions, mitigative action, and adaptive action as provided in this Turkana County Climate Change Fund Regulation, Climate Change Act, and the Climate Change Policy. And then if it's possible, the county assembly can even allocate more resources, because the program which is called FLOCA program requires that the county also commits adequate resources. If county commits more, more resources will come. The World Bank resources, CEDA.
So resources are pegged.
The FLOCA program now. FLOCA is a program funded by World Bank, CEDA, DANIDA, with co-financing aspect from the national government, you see, and it is pegged on the commitment from the county government. So if county allocates more resources, if county performs quite well on matters to do with climate change, mitigative and adaptive intervention, more resources will trickle down to the county. So there's need of even enhancing the climate finance in the county, so that more resources will come to Turkana County for climate actions. So those are my parting shots.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clement Nadio. Thank you for following us and ensuring that we've been together up to this time. Kindly do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and also comment for the subsequent post about climate change and environment. Thank you so much, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Asante.
Asante.